Hi, you're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K, broadcasted from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida. The English language could be complicated in some ways. That's what the American author Bill Bryson finds in his book Mother Tongue. He says in Latin the verb has up to 120 inflections. In English, we never has more than 5. We need just 5 inflections to deal with the act of propelling a car: drive, drives, drove, driving, and driven. Yet with this we can express quite complex and subtle variations of tense. If we say, I used to drive to work, but now I don't, we're clearly using the present tense drive in a past tense sense. Equally, if we say, I will drive you to work tomorrow, we're using it in a future sense. And if we say, I would drive if I could afford to, we're using it in a conditional sense. In fact, almost the only form of sentence in which we cannot use the present tense form of drive is, yes, the present tense. When we need to indicate an action going on right now, we must use the participial form driving. We don't say, I drive the car now, but rather, I'm driving the car now. Not to put too fine a point on it, the labels are largely meaningless.
Whoa, whoa, yeah.
And now, for the purposes of the show, let's give another try on the verb drive. What is the driving force behind writing a new album? Max Highstein, musician, author, counselor, recently released an album called Tiptoes. Welcome to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. Max.
Hey Dimitri, thanks for having me.
From the album Tiptoes, we're listening to All Bounced Up, Max Highstein. Tiptoes exudes creativity and passion, and I notice there is a range of musical styles on this album. What are your musical influences, Max?
Well, I think the strongest influence on me was the music that I was listening to when I was a teen. I was listening to the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, blues of all kinds. You know, the rock music of the time really had a big influence on me. And then a little later on, albums by Steely Dan really appealed to me. And then I started listening to a lot of jazz when I was in my college years. Listened to a lot of John Coltrane, McCoy Tyner, Herbie Hancock, and I was studying piano at the time. Those things influenced me a lot, but also when I was in grade school, I was playing clarinet. So the easy clarinet pieces from Mozart, and then again in college, I was playing Mozart on the piano. So there were those influences too. And those, I think, all kind of went into my head and eventually came out through the music that I'm making today.
Quite a good range of influences, from classical to pop and jazz. That's why we find a little bit of all mentioned with a great personal touch. We're listening to The Listener. Tiptoes, you're playing piano, organ, fretless bass guitar, soprano, alto and tenor sax, and clarinet, and you sound great on all of them. How were you able to master so many instruments?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I won't claim to be a master of anything. Certainly not a master of all of these instruments. I started out on clarinet in grade school and dropped that pretty quick and got into a band in my early teens, and I was a singer in the band. They kicked me out because I wasn't a very good singer. My mother bought me a Farfisa electric organ, and I immediately was taken back into the band, so a keyboarder I became. And I studied keyboard through college. I picked up, somebody gave me an electric bass guitar, and I learned a little bit of that, and I liked it, but that kind of went by the wayside. And I really just stuck with piano until fairly recently. I was spending some time with my good friend Rusty Crutcher, and he handed me a soprano saxophone to hold for a second while he was doing something else. And I didn't want to put it back down. I didn't play it, but a few weeks later I asked him, Rusty, how long do you think it would take me to be able to make a beautiful sound on this instrument? And he clearly lied to me and told me it would only be a few months. And so I got a soprano sax, and I started playing it, and I really went at it and put in, 4, 5, 6 hours a day on it for a year or so, maybe 2 years. And the thing is, I knew exactly what I wanted to play and what I wanted to sound like, so I didn't waste any time practicing things that weren't going to be going directly into my music. So the stuff you hear me playing on the albums is what I can play. If you ask me to play something else, sorry, I won't be able to play it because I'm not interested in it. So I really got very, very focused on the soprano sax, and then I picked up the other saxophones the same way. And I was the same way on the bass guitar when I decided I wanted to start playing fretless electric bass on my albums. I really just went after the particular kind of music that I wanted to play and practice that. And so I've been very fortunate to have the basic musical talent, and then to have a really clear vision, if you will, of what it is that I wanted to sound like and how I wanted to play. And I spent a lot of time practicing.
It's quite a good leap from trying to get the basics of an instrument to a professional recording. Congrats for that. Listening to Path of the Heart and Draper. There is quite a bit of interesting arranging and production of this album. Tell me about your creative process for composing and producing these songs.
Usually what happens is I take a walk and I get an idea for a song, or I'm sitting at the piano in my studio and I'm noodling around and an idea comes to me for a song. And I'm sure that a lot of composers and musicians work this way. I keep my iPhone with me. I play a little bit of that idea into the note memo recorder on the iPhone, and then I go back to whatever I was doing, and then at a certain point when I feel like I'm ready to start making some music, I go through all those little notes. Some of them sound I can't make out what I was doing, but some of them sound okay, and I take that and I start developing it. I listen for where's the melody on this, what if it's going to be a song, what's the verse going to be like, what's the chorus going to be like, and I put that together and mock it up in my computer on my platform of choice, which happens to be Digital Performer. And I mock up almost all the instruments with samples, and I really fuss with it a lot. I kind of work the hell out of it until I have something really close to what it is that I want. And then I bring in the players who I want to help me make it really sound good and bring life to it. I just keep shaping it and shaping it and shaping it and listening back to it until I've got it the way I want it.
Well, obviously, taking a walk and moment of inspiration produces a great album like Tiptoes. We're listening to Skycab Beef Nap and Meanwhile in the Back Seat. Beside the album, I read the names of your collaborators: Rusty Crutcher, Ed Willett, Jeff Pivar, Mark Clark. Tell us something more about your work with those talented musicians.
Those are some really, really brilliant and talented players, and I'm so happy to be able to have connected with them over the years. Ed, the cellist, is the one I've worked with the longest. He and I go back into the late 80s, early 90s. He played on my very first recordings. God, he's just a brilliant cellist, and has a terrific sensibility for, pop music, rock, jazz, and as well as being a dynamite classical cellist. And he's just a real peach to work with. Rusty's an old friend. He and I go back into the early New Age music stuff. We were both working on albums around the same time and have catalogs of that kind of music. I ran into him when I first moved to Santa Fe, and we've been friends ever since. And we connect about a lot of musical things and other things, and it's really great. He's 2 miles away, and he's very generous with his time, and has helped me out and made a lot of these recordings sound really great. Mark Clark is a drummer that is also local here in northern New Mexico, and once you find somebody that's really easy to work with, that really brings the life into your music, it's hard to go with anybody else. And as soon as I found Mark, he's played on all of my albums since. We've got it down to a science. He comes in, we play the songs, he listens to them, and we do some takes and get these wonderful drum takes. And he has a distinctive sound, a distinctive kind of voice on the drums that just seems to fit just right with my music. Jeff Pivar is somebody that I've just worked with for the first time. He's a player who played together with Ed Willett. They toured with Ricky Lee Jones together, and that's how I got connected with Jeff by way of Ed Willett. Jeff's played with Ray Charles and with David Crosby. He sits in sometimes with Little Feat. He's the guitar player that I want because, man, he just really brings the funk and the rock and jazz and everything in between for these tunes. So again, it's a matter of finding somebody that's really easy to work with and can just really deliver. All of these people are absolute angels, and really glad to be able to work with them.
Your musicians are a real treasure, and I don't blame you that you're not looking for anybody else at this point, and congrats to all of them. Now it is time to say goodbye to Max, and from the listeners of Light Lounge with Dimitri K, to wish him luck with the release of his latest album, Tiptoes.
Thanks for having me, Dimitri. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
You're very welcome, Max. And for the end of the interview, let's listen from your album, the title song, Tiptoes. Most recently we can find in the media Andrew Lloyd Webber, the British composer and theatre impresario who made his name and fortune with musicals such as Cats, Evita and Starlight Express. This week he expressed determination to open his West End theatres, whatever the current government guidance on COVID-19. Preview for his latest creation, Cinderella, seems to be in question because of rising infection rates, but Lloyd Webber has said he would be prepared to face a jail sentence in defiance of any further delay. The losses incurred by keeping his theaters dark during their extended closure run to approximately $1 million a month, and he has suggested that further delays will force him to sell or close them permanently. Well, can we blame him or the government safety measures? Obviously, there is a fine balance.
Hi, my name is Simonne, and you are listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. I'm sending greetings and thank you everyone for listening to my new music, which should be eventually released on my new album, hopefully next year. Take care. Bye.
We just heard Fantasia, played by Simonne, Czech Republic.
Hi, this is Agustin Tagliabue from the Atacustico project. You will listen now my last released, Pequeña Copla, which is a positive and bright guitar instrumental song. Cheers!
That was Agustin Tagliabue from Argentine, Pequena Copla.
Namaste. I'm Somesh Mathur, and you're listening to me on Light Lounge with Dimitri K. It's always been a pleasure and a privilege to be on this show and this network.
And now from India, let's present one new Recording Academy member, Somesh Mathur, and his interpretation of Wish You Were There.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain? Can you tell a green field from a cold steel whale, a smile from a veil? Do you think you can tell? Did they get you to train your heroes for ghosts, hot ashes from trees, hot air for a cool breeze, cold comfort for change? Did you exchange a walk on hard in the wall for a lead role in a cage? How I wish you were here. We just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? Same old fears. Wish you were here.
And that was Wish You Were There, Somesh Mathur from India. While in a mood for interpretations, let's listen to David Garfield's take on John Lennon's Strawberry Fields Forever. Well, that was a beautiful take of Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever by David Garfield. In my last album, Gardens of Delight, I challenged myself with Chopin's Impromptu. With the help of the 16 years old from Canada Vasko Panev, playing Chopin's original, John Valery on guitar, and Alvin L. Giles piano and bass. for the end of the show, one more tune from my last album, Gardens of Delight. On the vocal is beautiful Shelleé from Orlando.
So we'll go no more a-roving so late into the night, though the heart be still as loving and the moon be still as bright. Though the night was made for loving and the day returns too soon, yet we'll go no more roving by the light of the moon.
You're listening to Light Lounge with Dimitri K. It's time to say goodbye. And remember, hesitation is temporary, music lasts forever. Most of the artists you heard on this show are independent artists. And if you like some of them, you can Google the name and find them on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and the rest of the digital media, and that would be a great support for them. For any comments, suggestions and feedback, please email me at kopublishing@gmail.com. I'm Dimitri K, broadcasting from the city beautiful Orlando, Florida.